Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion video. So, I have a kind of interesting proposal that I want to make for you guys. Not really a proposal, but something that has been going on in my head, my very over-analytical to the point where it's kind of a annoying head. In regards to some news that came out, TCG related, card game related, actually OCG related, in regards to Legendary Gold Box, which is a set that's coming out in Japan. I believe it's being released on December 21st, so literally at the time of uploading in 4 days. Actually, the same day as Jump Festa, funny enough, where we should get news on the new show. And we got some card news on December 12th. There was an article on Yugioh Organization. I'm not really going to cover whether the cards are good or not. I feel like I'm not well versed to say that and give much of an opinion on that, especially when there's other Yu-Gi-Tubers who have probably covered it. But the title of this video is going to be something along the lines of Revolver gets his Link 5, but it's a little too late. Now, when I see something like this, and as the title gives away, if you're not aware, we got news that Borrel Dragon, or at least a card in that archetype, really the main boss of it now, we got a Link 5 Borrel. And that makes me believe immediately that Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS was scheduled originally to maybe go a little longer than anticipated, and it was kind of cut short on short notice. And I feel like Revolver would have probably used this card had the anime been going on. Because right now, if you want to go back to when Arc 5 was airing, this is when the Zark duel was going on. Remember, Zarkmas was a big thing? So if VRAINS was going the normal distance that we've seen every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Show go, which is until March of the third year, instead of October of the third year, which is when it actually ended, then we would be near the end of the show. Revolver would probably be having one of his final duels, and I feel like this would have been the end-all card that Revolver would have summoned. So we're going to get into that, and of course I'd love to hear your thoughts on my theory in that regard, and everything in regard to these new cards. I will link them down below. Some really cool cards, by the way. Deep of Blue Eyes, Scar Red Supernova Dragon, Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon, DDD Eulogy King Vice Requiem, which easily wins the award for coolest card name out of all of these cards that have been revealed. What's also really interesting is these are all rivals except for GX, and when you think of the rival character, I feel like GX is the weirdest Yu-Gi-Oh! Show when it comes to the rival. That's like the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime that doesn't have a definitive rival. Like, that's the most easily debated who is the rival of this show, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and it's not even close. I know in Zexal you can maybe make the argument between Kaito and Shark, even though I think Kaito definitely has the advantage over Shark. But when you look at GX, you think Manjome right off the bat, even though I would argue that Hell Kaiser, Zane Truesdale, pushed Jaden. Now, you never lost to Judai. He pushed Judai more than Manjome ever did. And then you could make the case that Edo was the rival of Season 2. But the fact that Judai only dueled Edo once kind of hurts that whole theory that, oh yeah, Edo, Aster Phoenix is the rival of GX. And guess what card they decided to make for the GX set? What new support? Rainbow Dragon, the Zenith Crystal Beast, which is actually a really cool name. And now all of a sudden are we supposed to believe that Johan, that Jesse Anderson, was the rival in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? I mean, I've never really even heard that thought. It's always been Manjome, Edo, or Hell Kaiser. Now, based on this, because they gave support for Jack Atlas, for Kaido, for Kaiba, for Akaba Reiji, and for Revolver, are we supposed to believe that Johan is considered the rival in GX? I mean, GX is just, when it comes to the rival character, just weird. I mean, it really is. And this article doesn't really give us any closure on who the rival is actually supposed to be. If you believe this article and this support, then I guess the rival is Johan, which I wouldn't agree with, but hey, what are you going to do? So, some cool cards there, and then of course the one that we have to focus on, that we will be focusing on in this video, is the Link 5 Borrel monster, and that is Borrel End Dragon. Really, really cool monster, and you can see the art there, and guys, this is an awesome monster, and it makes me really believe that this was a monster that Revolver was supposed to use. I'm sure, you can't convince me otherwise, Konami is a smart company, and they know well in advance what kind of cards they are going to be creating. It's not like they woke up 3 weeks ago and said, you know what, we're going to throw in a Link 5 for Revolver in this new set, in the Legendary Gold box coming out. This was something that I'm sure was in the works for a very long time. And it just makes me believe that when this card and the concept of this card was being made, that they had plans for it to be in the anime, that they had plans for Revolver to summon this Link 5. We know that I got his Link 5, Bowman got his Link 5, Playmaker got his Link 5. The one character that definitely was next in line to get a Link 5, as long as they didn't introduce a new antagonist, was Revolver. It absolutely was. Maybe you can make the argument for Soulburner, but for me, it's the rival. It's the rival who's trying to compete and keep up at this point with the main protagonist, and maybe Revolver summons Borrel and Dragon in a duel against Playmaker. Maybe they have a final match. I think it's kind of weird that those two, the main protag and the rival, never dueled after episode 46. After the first season, they never dueled, even though Revolver kind of alluded to them having a future matchup down the road. And so whether it was originally planned for that to be a ceremonial duel or a duel later on in what would have been maybe a completely different Season 3, I am convinced that Borrel and Dragon is just further proof that this show ended kind of more on the abrupt side of early. And that's why all the side characters had very quick and kind of shafty endings. They got shafted. I mean, Spectre didn't say a word until episode 120. He had a whole duel against I off screen, and he didn't say a word. It's obvious that they were rushing that final season to get to the main points, and in a more expanded, fleshed out Season 3, where I do think the main story and events would have played out differently in the original plans for that season, I am convinced that Revolver would use this monster and he would have an amazing moment and summon a Link 5. So, what do we have here? Link 5, Borrel and Dragon. The materials are 3 or more effect monsters. And the effects, to me, seem really, really good. And you guys let me know what you think about this card down below. You can only use the effect, or the number 3 effect of this card's name, once per turn. So it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. It also cannot be targeted for monster effects. So it already has protection, which makes it a very good monster. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. So as long as your opponent does not have any monsters with more than 3,500 attack points, or with 3,500 attack points, since this monster can't be destroyed by battle, you can just wipe out your entire opponent's board. And then the quick effect, which is its third and final effect, you can target one effect monster on the field and one rocket monster in your grave, negate the effect of the target on the field, and if you do, special summon the target from the graveyard. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. So as long as your opponent has an effect monster on the field, you have a rocket in the grave, which you probably will if you're playing this. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I know Borrel Sword and Borrel Load are still viable in non-rocket decks, but if you have a rocket in the grave, you can pretty much get that back to the field. So it seems like a really, really good card. 3 heads. It's a 3-headed Borrel monster. I would have loved to see this card. I mean, this card actually might be my favorite Borrel design, and I'm sure the summoning of it, I'm sure the animation of it would have been absolutely gorgeous. So it is a shame that we just never saw it. But you guys let me know if you think this is a good card, and please let me know if you think that this is a little bit of proof, further proof, that Season 3 and Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS as a whole ended a little early, and let me know when this card was being made, if you believe that this was intended to be shown in the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS anime. Also, let me know your thoughts on the other Rivals monster cards. Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon, DDD Eulogy King Vice Requiem, which I still love that name, Scar Red Supernova Dragon, Rainbow Dragon the Zenith Crystal Beast, and Deep of Blue Eyes. And hey, maybe if it's a crossover, we will see all of these big boss monsters in the anime. We can keep our fingers crossed and keep speculating about that at least for another few days. Again, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 news coming very soon. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you guys all about this down below. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Panther J, Smith 620, Jorge Leon, and Blue Maiden 28. And to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, Sean, and Melinda Phantom. And to my Egyptian God tier patrons Joss Rivers and Syn Cloud. Thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to everyone who's a channel member. And thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you all down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.